What is going on out there, peeps? Let's get back to Iraq. As you can see in the news, in case you haven't caught it, we have half the country going in the right direction, and part of it not going in the right direction. We'll cover that here in just a moment. You guys know when you go to buy gold and silver to go over to our friends over at Money Metals Exchange, the link is down below in the description. If you're a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you'll get a free half ounce of silver. For those of you who keep asking for my address, there it is right there. Just pause and go ahead and write it down. And you guys know over here I have my other webpage where I post videos in there, updating a lot of information that a lot of us are keeping a close watch on, especially when it pertains to number 45. Just feel free to come join us over there. The link is down below in the description. You guys know I have Pimpy's Investment Chat over here on Facebook. It is a Facebook group that is free to join. Over here we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. Feel free to join. It's free to do so. So this is what I'm talking about. So it's kind of hard to know who to believe or trust. We know that when it comes to the news. They seem to, and I mean they as in us, the United States, seem to have been targeting the Popular Mobilization Group, which is a no-no. They were working with Al-Qaeda Dinar. They were keeping ISIS back. We were told that it was Hezbollah that was bombed, and that doesn't seem to be the case. Nonetheless, it's stirring up a rat's nest. So, in regards to that, it says Pentagon deeply concerned by recent attacks on personnel in Iraq and Syria. So when you read this, you kind of go, oh, okay, but you don't know whether or not to believe it. It really sucks. Said the Pentagon on Thursday it was deeply concerned about a series of attacks on U.S. personnel in Iraq and Syria in the recent days. U.S. diplomats and troops in Iraq and Syria were targeted in 3 rocket and drone attacks on Wednesday alone, including 14 rockets hitting the Iraq base hosted U.S. forces, wounding 2 American service personnel. While there was no immediate claims of responsibility for the attacks, parts of a wave targeting U.S. troops or areas where they are based in Iraq and Syria. Analysts believe they were part of a campaign by Iranian-backed militia. So again, this looks like more of an excuse to get in there and really just destabilize the Middle East. I hope that isn't what happens. Now, I know Al-Qaeda Dinar is coming over here to talk to the Biden administration. And I know they're supposed to be sitting and planning the withdrawal of the United States. Now, as we get out of Afghanistan, you can already see what happened. It took them 2.2 seconds for the their group, I don't know why you're spacing at the moment, but for the terrorist group that is over there to take back control of the capital. So that's not a good thing because that's going to be the point zero or the base there where they're going to be doing a lot of attacks from, and I have a feeling in Afghanistan. So yeah, it's the Middle East doesn't seem to be heading down the right path anymore. I don't want to be negative about it. It just appears like they're starting to go down that road that we don't want. And it's not surprising that it's magically under the old Biden administration. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't want to be too negative, but this isn't good because Al-Qaeda Dinar is coming here. He's coming to talk to the old Biden administration about what they need to do to remove themselves out of the country because them being there is not a very good thing. Most Iraqi people believe they are considered, invaders, to be quite honest with you, and they're tired of having Americans there and in Afghanistan. So we will keep an eye on it. It's the Taliban that's over there in Afghanistan. They've already grabbed control of their capital. It didn't take very long. I could see this all once again started back up. Try not to be negative, but at least we need to be aware of it because it does affect the currency over there. Now, it hasn't affected anything yet other than the fact that The Taliban has grabbed control of Afghanistan, at least the capital. And then you have this skirmish between the United States and Iran, but appear to be attacking Iraqi coalition forces, not coalition, but the mobilization group. So let's pay attention here real quick from NTD.
Jessica Beatty, NTD News.
The U.S. Embassy inside Baghdad's Green Zone was the target of a rocket attack today. Iraqi security sources told Reuters that 2 rockets were fired. That's as U.S. troops and diplomats were also attacked in Iraq and Syria, with 2 American service members wounded. Iraqi officials said Wednesday that at least 14 rockets hit the Al-Assad air base and its perimeter. There, 2 American service members were slightly wounded. One had a concussion and the other minor cuts. A spokesman for Iraq's Joint Operations Command said there were a small number of coalition forces there. He said they provide support to the Iraqi security forces in terms of intelligence, investigation, and air support.
Of course, this incident is, to be honest, condemned. A vehicle that carries food supplies would carry rockets, and the Iraqi military base Ain al-Assad was targeted.
Iraqi forces inspected the site in al-Baghdadi where they say the rockets were launched from. The country's military sources said a truck carrying a rocket launcher was used in the attack on Wednesday. They found it in a nearby farm set on fire. What's more...
Yeah, that just looks like... And it has the food. So it looks like they're carrying food, but it blows up. So they're carrying explosives within the food truck?
Sirens blared at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad during a rocket attack on Thursday.
See, are they trying to say that a rocket came down and hit the truck? Because it looks like you can tell the pressure is pushing the metal out. So the explosion looks like it comes from within.
Fire. What's more, sirens blared at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad during a rocket attack on Thursday. The compound's anti-rocket system diverted one of the rockets, and the other landed around the Green Zone's perimeter. That's according to Iraqi security officials. And in Syria, U.S. diplomats and troops were attacked by rocket and drone strikes. No one has claimed responsibility, but analysts say Iran-backed militias are behind the attacks. This follows a rocket attack on U.S. troops in eastern Syria in late June. The attack came one day after U.S. airstrikes near the Iraq-Syria border.
See, again, this explosion, based on the way the metal is forced out and not in, this looks like something that was inside the truck. I don't know about a rocket attack.
At the time, Iraq militia groups aligned with Iran vowed revenge against the U.S. Officials from the Iraqi army said the frequency of attacks against bases housing U.S. forces via rockets and drones wielding explosives is unprecedented. The Biden administration has twice taken military action in the region since taking office. Thus far, it appears the White House hasn't given any directive after the recent attack.
Okay, so again, not heading in the right direction. So far, these are very minor, unless you're one of the people who got hurt in there, obviously. We don't want this to start happening over in Iraq. This is one of the things I was concerned about when this current administration got into office. So anyways, the complexity of the Iraqi-American strategic dialogue. This article, basically all it does is talk about, again, you have Al-Qadimi coming over here to meet the Biden administration. Al-Qadimi feels frustrated. He had already spoken to the Biden administration, telling him to stop using Iraq, he said, as the arena for the United States and Iran to be settling their scores. He doesn't want that there. He doesn't want to be involved in it. He don't want to be part of it. Then to make matters worse, Al-Qadimi seemed to have control of the Popular Mobilization Group. Things are going smooth. And after they have been targeted, not once but twice now, the pressure, I would imagine, on Al-Qadimi to hurry up and get these guys out of Iraq has now grown. You have the anniversary of the creation of the Popular Mobilization Group coming up here shortly as well. And Al-Qadimi had plans to celebrate something about them. And, you know, again, it's kind of up in the air. This visit that's coming up here shortly really is going to say a whole lot. I don't know what Al-Qadimi is going to be able to say. Biden can't even remember his own name, so I'm not sure how effective this is going to be. So, the government's facility to receive loans from banks again, this just goes on and talks about, the different lands and stuff like that, the development and the need for loans, which again, what gets me is this. You point out that the 21 budget included allocations to governors that will enable them to convert these lands into several service lands that enable beneficiaries to build and live on them. So they have a surplus in the budget. I really wish it would stay away from borrowing. Just take that excess of money and continue to build the private sector, and that's what they're trying to do. But the housing project is to build homes for the Iraqi people. If you guys, for those of you who are unaware of this, somehow, some way, magically, Biden's brother received a $1.5 billion housing project, and the guy has no experience in building homes. So, go figure. The president of the Supreme Judiciary Council issuance of arrest warrants against the killers of Hassam al-Hashimi and the demonstrators. If I remember correctly, because I was trying to remember who this guy was. If I remember correctly, this is the guy that was really close to al-Qadimi. Remember they went into his house and assassinated him to send a message over to al-Qadimi? This was right around the time when al-Qadimi first got into office. So it looks like the persons that are responsible for it, I thought they were all already arrested. Maybe not, but some arrest warrants went out to get them. Matthew Toller is talking to the people over in Kurdistan. He's meeting with al-Halabasi and talking about what they need to do, again, to once again strengthen the security and economic cooperation between the two countries. There seems to be a lot of cooperation going on between the United States and the Kurdistan leaders. So very interesting. There's something about that keeps grabbing my attention. I can't quite put my finger on it. So anyways, again, the strategic dialogue between the two countries leading to the strategic partnership in various fields that serve common interests and contributes to supporting Iraq to achieve development and stability, which is needed. They really do need one another. Hezbollah brigades announced targeting diplomatic missions is unacceptable. So basically what they're saying is, look, even though they're part of the resistance, attacking those individuals who are on diplomatic missions are unacceptable and been voted on. But having said that, they felt like they have been attacked and feel like they should be able to have the right to retaliate. So it says right on here, we call on the brothers in the Iraq resistance to preserve the rules of engagement and not to burn the stages of battle. The enemy must understand the message. As they response will be harsh. Yeah, it's literally how it was translated. Now, see here, this is good. Moody's International expects a sharp upward reversal in the financial sector in Iraq, which is urgent. So Moody's International Agency expects a sharp upward reversal in the Iraq financial sector during the 2021. So good. This is good. This is what we want. So this is like a mixed bag of news. So Moody's Investment Service confirms Iraq's rating with a grade of CAA1. Any country that has good bonds of stability but involves credit risk for non-payment and maintain a stable future outlook for the country. The agency in a statement said the confirmation of the rating reflects the credit challenges posed by Iraq's economic and financial dependence, which is very heavily dependent on oil, the restriction of the government's ability to respond to external and domestic shocks, and the low competitiveness of the Iraqi economy. Iraq, the second largest producer of OPEC oil, relies heavily on oil to cover 90% of its spending. I think they now got it down to 75. Hey, don't cut them out of all that. We just saw a recent report. So it went from 95% dependency down to 70, 75, somewhere in there, which is good. Anyways, Moody's predicts a sharp upward reversal in financial sector metrics in 2021 with higher oil prices, but progress in economic diversification remains slow and hampered by a weak business environment and investment climate in Iraq. And maintain the rating agency a stable view of the country as the Iraqi government continues to discuss with the International Monetary Fund to obtain financial support. So, same thing we've been talking about. Outside investors coming in, or Iraq's government ability to continue to develop the private sector, which is necessary. That part is slow. People want to come in and invest in there, but they have to keep things stable. Like I said, nobody that wants to invest in anything feels comfortable when your country is not stable. The fear of something happening to your investment is real. So, these little skirmishes that we got going on between the United States and Iraq, I don't blame Al-Qademi. Every time you're trying to get your ground on getting things going in your country, then there's always an excuse for these two to go after one another, and they're doing it in Iraq. And of course, he's tired of it, and so the Iraqi people. The government plans to double the production capacity of oil, which will support economical growth and strength Iraq's financial and external situation. However, Iraq's plans are constrained by the uncertain outlook for global oil demand and ongoing challenges to the government and political stability in Iraq that discourages investors in the oil and gas sector. Rise of risk to political stability and deeply fragmented political landscape will continue to impede progress on institutional economic forums. Up above, the Biden administration has expressed its concern that Al-Qademi has not yet thrown his hat in for re-election. So I'm curious to see, because he said he wasn't interested in it. We know early elections are coming in October. I wonder if Biden's going to be able to convince Al-Qademi at all to stay, because he is a true key component to all the good things that have been happening over in Iraq. I really don't want that guy to go, to be honest with you. He's done so much in such a short period of time. It's really been phenomenal to see. And, the last thing you want to do is hold elections. The elections get rigged. And the next thing you know, the wrong person gets in charge, or the wrong people get in charge over there in Iraq. That's the thing we don't want to see happening. So for now, these little skirmishes between the United States and Iran is not good. We need them to tamper down. But for the most part, their economical outlook has been analyzed as a sharp uptick, which is good for Iraq. So the outlook looks good. I think so too. They aren't so dependent right now on oil, but it sure to hell is helping. If they're planning on doubling production in this year, like I said, I want to see it go up to about $100 a barrel. That's really going to get their butt out of a lot of hock. Anyways, that's it for now. I just want to show you the news. You can see these bombings, these attacks are now starting to hit the mainstream media over here. And that's not what we want. Anyways, stay positive. We'll keep an eye on what's going on. If anything changes, I'll bring it to you. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later. I'm out.